Don't you just love budgets? They are so cool. They're like this financial power tool that can help you to drive the success of your business. Is so awesome. Let's talk about budgets in QuickBooks. We're going to go over to our gear icon, and then under the tools section, we're going to go down to budgeting. Add your first budget. Oh, this is so exciting. Can you even stand it? So here's what the budget function looks like in QuickBooks. It's bringing in all of the accounts that are in our chart of accounts automatically. They're right here. Boom, presto, awesomeness. So the first thing we want to do is we want to name our budget. And we could call it like awesome budget, but it's really more helpful to call it something like 2023 budget. And then we have the option to choose the fiscal year that this belongs in, and we'll say fiscal year 2023. It's saying January to December as our default because we set our company up to be on a calendar year, and the interval that we want to look at is monthly. And then it wants to know whether it should pre-fill data. If we have it pre-fill data, it's going to bring all of the information from 2021 or 2022, which is often a good place to start because it's going to look at what you actually did in one of those years. It's going to bring in all of your revenues, your expenses, and it's going to pre-fill this whole budget for you. At which point you can go in and make adjustments. But because this is a newish business, we don't really have good data to work with. And we don't really know what next year is going to look like. We're going to have to kind of figure that out on our own. So we're going to say no. Now you can subdivide your budget by something like customers. So if you have a bunch of customers that you're working with on specific projects, you may want to do customer specific projects, for example. In this case, we're going to say don't subdivide. And once we've told QuickBooks the basics, we're going to hit next, and it's going to give us the opportunity to start inputting our numbers. So we can start to add in some sales numbers, and if we want to copy across, we think it's going to be the same thing every month, like the cable bill, for example, we can just say copy across. And you can see we've got all of our cost of goods information here, so we can figure out like what is it going to cost us in labor and supplies in order to make that $10,000 in income. And then we can look at all of our other expenses down here. What do we want to spend on advertising and marketing this year? What is our payroll going to be? And as you start to build this out, it will give you down here at the bottom what your net income is based on the numbers that you have input into this budget. And that will give you a really good idea of where you need to increase sales or decrease expenses in order to get to a point where you're actually making a profit. So we're going to hit save here, and we're going to close out of this. And you see that here in our budget window, we have a budget. That's awesome. So we can go right here to edit, and we can continue to work on our budget. Other things that we can do here in this window is we can delete our budget if we hated it, but we can run a budget versus actuals report or run a budget overview report. So let's run a budget overview report first. And these reports are all available in the report section also. So this is what we have so far. We haven't put in a whole lot of stuff here, but this is a good jumping off point for the work that we need to do here. So if we come back here to our budget screen again, we can look at a budget versus actual report. And this is really valuable once you start getting some information in there. Let's look at the month of January, for example. So what this is going to show us is what our actual revenue and expenses is, and here's what we budgeted. And then you can see whether we are over budget, under budget, and what the percent of our budget is that we have used. You can also customize this report right here and change what we're seeing. So let's say we don't want to see any cents, and this is pretty typical. You don't want to get bogged down in 23 cents. You want to be able to just see rounded numbers, and this will do that. And you can change how you want to see your negative numbers. Do you want it to be a minus? Do you want it to be in parentheses? And if you want it to be in red, you can do that. If you want to look at the report on a cash basis, you can do that here. If you want to look at your accounts by month, or you want to look at them by quarter or by the total year, you can do that there. And then you can tell it what columns you want to be in there. So if you don't want to see that percent of budget in there, you'd rather see the remaining amount you have for your budget, you can do that. And then if you want to save that customization, you can click save right here. Otherwise, it will revert back to what we had previously. So if I'm working with a company or a nonprofit that's really really budget focused, and who wouldn't want to be? I mean, budgets are awesome. We can add those to our favorites just by clicking on the star. So our budget versus actuals, and I want to get a budget overview up there too. There we go. So now when I go to run reports for a company or a nonprofit, I can have everything that I usually run for them here in favorites. So it makes the actual entering and tracking of the budget very easy. The hard part is coming up with the numbers, right? But once you have those, this part's super easy. Now the budgets aren't available in all subscription levels of QuickBooks. So in the next video, we're going to talk about subscription levels and where those points are where you need to switch from a lower level to a higher level to get more features. So I will see you in the next video.